Hey guys, Awkward Potato here with another book review. It's called The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. I am sorry if I just butchered your name. So, I simultaneously loved and hated this book. And I'm going to give you reasons for each. But I'm going to start this off by saying I definitely should have back covered this. Because then I would have found that it's about the Holocaust. And, I mean, that's a depressing subject anyway. And, I love learning about history, and I do love stories about the Holocaust, like the survivors and, the uplifting stories specifically. This was not exactly uplifting. The Book Thief is about a girl named Liesl Meminger, who grows up in the 1930s and 1940s in Nazi Germany, specifically a street down from Munich Street, in Himmel Street, a street called Heaven. So I'm going to give you a rundown of what exactly happens in the beginning, because if you read more than the first, 20 pages, I think, it's not going to be really spoiling anything for you. So Liesl's mother gives her to Hans and Rosa Huberman, who are her foster parents now, and her brother dies on the train to the foster parents, which is a bad enough thing for a kid to go through, because she's 9 at the beginning of this book, and this spans over 5 years of her life. And she makes a best friend named Rudy Steiner. So the kind of breakdown of these few characters that show up in the book: Liesl is a really strong, intelligent girl. She can kick ass, take names. Yeah, she beat the crap out of this one guy, and it was hilarious. He deserved it. He really did. But also, she's gone through more than her fair share of hardships, which I think contributes to making her strong. She's got a passion for reading, and she's more or less got a way with words, as seen in the scene where she gives Max, who you'll meet later, a cloud. How do you give someone a cloud? You describe it to them inside and out, how a 9-year-old, or, at that point she was 12, would describe it. Also the narrator. The narrator is Death, and he's a bit of a sarcastic asshole, but he also tells it like it is, which is really great. I probably should have started off with your narrator as Death. It's not told in Liesl's point of view, it's just kind of told sort of over her shoulder, kind of. So anyway, we're going on to Hans Huberman, aka Papa. He is such a super, super kind soul, even to the detriment of his health sometimes. He is a fantastic accordionist, and he is so supportive of Liesl and Max and Rudy and basically his whole life, all of the people in his life. And he's just so sweet, oh my gosh. Next is Rosa Huberman, aka Mama. She's the one that requested Liesl call them Mama and Papa. She is very loud, very argumentative. She is described as a fantastic woman to have in a crisis. And she shows affection in very unorthodox ways, such as calling Papa and Liesl filthy pigs, basically in German. Saumensken-Saukerl. So next up is Rudy Steiner. He is Liesl's best friend, and, he's her age. He's got candlelight hair, yellow candlelight hair, the hair the color of lemons. And he's kind of cocky, but not for no reason. Which, I personally both like and dislike in a character, his cockiness. If you deserve it, okay, but don't, overuse it, He's also kind of a romantic depending on your viewpoint, because he does, throughout the book, constantly ask Liesl for a kiss. And then we've got Max, who is a Jew that comes in later. He is a very kind, very strong soul who has been through so much. And he is a very, very good friend to the Hubermans and to Liesl. And I guess lastly, I'm going to mention Ilsa Herman, because she is, my favorite lady at this point. So Ilsa Herman is a very sweet soul that is also very, very quiet. She invites Liesl into her house one day so that she can read in her library. And they just that kind of becomes the routine. You learn later that she's lost a son, that she's been punishing herself for the loss of her son for God knows how many years. And even after she fires Rosa via Lysol, and Lysol breaks into her house and steals a book, she's still super, super nice to Lysol because she understands. And she still tries to keep her friendship with the girl, even if it's just through a plate of cookies sitting on the windowsill, or, something to that effect. So the writing style is next. It really sucked me in, for starters. And having Death as the narrator is a very creative and very, very handy tool to use, I suppose, because that made me think, wow, there's a third party here that is not involved directly in Lysol's life, that is not involved directly in Hitler's life, that is not involved directly in any of this nonsense, aside from just taking the souls as they leave, and finding these few humans that he really finds interesting during this hard time in the world. And I thought that was a really, really cool idea. So now is a spoiler warning. If you do not want spoilers, turn away now, because I'm going to list all of the things that made me love this book and all of the things that devastated me. So we're going to start with the good things. The very first thing that just made my heart happy was the relationship growing between Lysol and Papa specifically, although later on her relationship with Mama once I kind of worked itself out, but especially Lysol and Papa, because he was obviously her favorite person and she seemed to be his. He took her in as her foster daughter and he just made her his daughter, period, end of story. And it was so sweet, the way that they acted around each other, The next thing that made me happy was the aforementioned friendship between Ilsa Herman and Lysol Meminger, and Lysol's friendship with Max Vandenberg, the Jew that eventually hides out in their basement. He did not start out in their basement. He came to their basement. I'm gonna leave it at backstory reasons. I don't want to give away everything in the book. Rudy winning his 3 medals specifically to prove that one asshole wrong made me so freaking proud, especially when he got disqualified on purpose, because he didn't have to prove anything else after those 3. He was going to shoot for 4 initially, but he's not Jesse Owens, and he doesn't have to prove himself quite like that. He was good, and that's all. Lysol standing proudly with Max when he was going through with the parade, even at the expense of being whipped. I was so proud of Lysol, because she was just a kid, more or less. She was just a young teenager that understood what was going on, that understood that if she stood with her friend who was Jewish, there would be reprimands, because Nazi Germany. The final high for me that just made my heart happy was when Lysol, after all of the bombings, was reunited with Ilsa Herman and with Max and with Rudy's dad, Alex, who just got back from the war after the bombing. And they all found refuge in each other. They found solace in their friendships, and I thought that was both heartbreaking but also kind of hopeful, I guess. So finally we've got the devastating lows. Lysol realizing her mother was likely never coming back because she was quote-unquote communist, that she was not okay, that she was not alive, was the first hit. Every time that Lysol did something bad to Ilsa Herman, and when Ilsa initially fired Rosa, those were heartbreaking. Because Ilsa Herman was the last client that Rosa had during all of the rations, all of the economic downslide, all of that mess. And every time that every time that Lysol would steal from her or would break in and do something like tear up a book or something like that, it broke my heart. Max being captured after he left the Huberman's basement. The bombing of Himmel Street. The bombing of Himmel Street is where all the shit, like the rest of this shit, made me cry. More or less, the rest of this book made me cry. Up until the reunions. The bombings of Himmel Street decimated the entire community there. It took Rudy and his family. It took Hans and Rosa Huberman. It took Frau Holtzapfel and Pfiffikus. and Frau Diller and everybody else on that street, except for Liesel. Ilse Herman lived a street away. Alex Steiner was at the war, and Liesel Meminger was in the basement. They all lived. But when Liesel was dug out, she saw her dead family. She saw the eaten-out accordion case. She kissed Rudy when it was much too late. And I bawled like a baby. So that is why I simultaneously love and hate The Book Thief. But thank you guys for watching. This has been Awkward Potato Book Reviews. I will be back with you hopefully soon for another one. So thank you guys for watching.